What's up guys, Mr. Bingham here bringing you a new video. Today we're going to be talking about the two most misunderstood rules in iRacing. So grab your pitchforks folks and poise those fingers on top of the downvote and dislike buttons because this is going to get controversial. No, seriously, some people are not going to like this. Now, before I get started, I'd just like to say that I'm about to hit you with some straight facts. Opinion has been left out of this video as far as possible. Subjectivity has been chucked out of the window. We're about to talk about objective rules. To that end, if you start thinking to yourself that you think I'm wrong, there's a good chance it's actually probably you. And I'm not saying that to be obnoxious. I'm not here to say that I necessarily agree with these rules. I'm just here to tell you what they are so that as a community we can all drive to the same standards. And if you don't like the rules, then we can all come together collectively and ask for change. But ultimately the rules are the rules and we need to follow them. So let's look at our first rule, which is blocking. But let's look at the misconception first. Okay, so blocking. Rule 8.1.1.4 in the iRacing sporting code. The leading driver is allowed to run a defensive line, however blocking occurs when a leading driver actively adjusts his or her driving line based on the actions and or positioning of a pursuing driver. For example, veering left to prevent a pursuing driver from passing on the left while running on a straight. What you'll notice here is that there's no mention of one move. It doesn't explicitly allow or prohibit a move off the racing line. It does permit the driver to run a defensive line, but the key is that any move should be proactive. You are not allowed to adjust your line based on the actions of the pursuing driver. If you exit a turn and immediately move to the inside, then that's okay. But if you exit a corner, stay wide, and your pursuer moves inside, you're not allowed to move inside. Just because that move would be a single move does not make it okay. It's reactive and so it's not permitted. Now, given that the rule is based on whether or not you move first and not the number of moves, this technically does mean that you can make multiple moves, provided each of those moves are in anticipation of your opponent moving and not in reaction to them moving. Let's take an example. If you exit Tête Rouge into the first straight leading up to the Forza chicane at Le Mans, and you immediately move inside anticipating that your opponent is going to make the same move, that's okay. He then follows staying in your slipstream. You notice a slower car ahead with damage on the inside liner, so you move back outside before your opponent does. He then sees the slower car and slips back in behind you. And then on passing the slower car, you immediately move back inside before he does. There were three moves there, and all of them were legal. So that's the key. Is it's not the number of moves, it's whether you make those moves in reaction to your opponents or proactively before they make a move. Now that we've looked at blocking, let's look at misunderstood rule number 2. We're not doing that again. Okay, rule number 2, or at least rule 7.4.1 in the iRacing sporting code. Blue flags. A blue flag with a diagonal yellow stripe indicates faster cars are approaching. This flag is informational only. 7.4.2. In all cases, it is the responsibility of the faster car to safely overtake the slower car. It is the responsibility of the slower car to maintain a consistent line. It is strongly recommended that a slower car being lapped makes every reasonable effort to facilitate a pass. to facilitate a safe pass, should I say. Now, let's break this down line by line. The flag is informational only. This means that the flag is not an order, it's not a direction, it's not a demand. It serves as an indicator only to a driver that they are being approached by a faster car, one that is or has already lapped them, or is lapping them for the first time. In all cases, it is the responsibility of the faster car to safely overtake the slower car. All cases. Some, not most. All cases, the responsibility for executing a safe overtake rests with the faster car. There are not any exceptions to this. There's no ifs, there's no buts. If you are the faster car, it is your responsibility to ensure that your manoeuvre is safe. It is the responsibility of the slower car to maintain a consistent line. This is an obligation to the slower car, but it's not a far-reaching one. And it doesn't really obligate the slower car to do anything different. It certainly doesn't obligate the slower car to slow down, make additional room, or do anything other than maintain a consistent line. Now, a consistent line here doesn't necessarily mean staying on the racing line. It means don't be erratic, don't be unpredictable, which in the majority of occasions would mean sticking to the racing line, but there are some exceptions. As such, however, a car racing at full pace and sticking to its usual racing line is being consistent, and so it is meeting its obligations by doing that. Then goes on to say that it is strongly recommended that a slower car being lapped makes every reasonable effort to facilitate a pass. This is a recommendation, it's a suggestion. It's a strong suggestion that I would encourage everybody to follow, but the fact of the matter is that it's not mandatory. The overriding responsibility to execute the safe pass or a safe pass still rests with the faster car. If the slower car makes no effort to help the faster car get past, are they a dick? Maybe. Are they slowing themselves down just as much as they're slowing down the faster car? Probably. Are they breaking the rules? No. The responsibility sits with the faster car. There's no exceptions to that. And so if you are the faster car, you need to have this in mind. There's no obligation for the slower car to pull over. It's not F1. It's iRacing. We race the iRacing sporting code, not the F1 regulations. Not FIA regulations that apply to any other racing series. We race to the iRacing sporting code. If you don't like the rules, then raise a fuss about it. Make people aware that you don't like them, but don't spread misinformation based on your opinion or based on your misunderstanding of the rules, or misunderstanding that rules that apply in other racing series apply in iRacing, because it's not the case. Now, that concludes the video for today. Hopefully that's been somewhat useful for some people watching. If you have liked the video or found it interesting or informative, please do hit the like button and subscribe, and head over to my Twitch channel, Mr_Bingham, for more. Thanks, bye now.